Listen, there's something we need to talk about, and it's not going to be comfortable. It's about how we're living our lives and why so many of us are feeling lost, anxious, and unfulfilled, despite having more material comfort than ever before in human history. We're going to explore a fundamental truth that's been buried under layers of societal expectations, instant gratification, and misguided pursuits. And let me tell you, it's not about money, and it's certainly not about your social network. Now, I've spent years studying human behavior, diving deep into the works of Carl Jung, Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and Fyodor Dostoevsky. I've grappled with the darkest aspects of human nature and the highest aspirations of the human spirit. And what I've discovered is that there's a common thread running through all of this. A fundamental principle that, when understood and embraced, can transform your life in ways you can't even imagine right now.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
But here's the thing. This principle isn't some feel-good platitude or quick fix. It's not something you can just read about and instantly apply. It requires work, hard, soul-searching work. It demands that you confront parts of yourself that you've been avoiding, that you challenge beliefs you've held dear, and that you take responsibility in a way that might terrify you at first. You see, we're living in a time of crisis, not just economic or political crisis, but a crisis of meaning. We've lost touch with the deeper currents of life, with the archetypal patterns that have guided human beings for millennia. We're adrift in a sea of nihilism, relativism, and superficial distractions, and it's killing us, slowly but surely. But there's hope. There's always hope, if you're willing to look for it, if you're willing to do the work. And that's what we're going to explore today. We're going to delve into the heart of what makes life truly worth living. What gives us the strength to face the suffering that's inherent in existence, and what allows us to transcend our own limitations and become something greater than we ever thought possible. Now, you might be thinking, well, if it's not money and it's not my social network, what is it? And that's a fair question. We've been conditioned to believe that these external factors are the key to a good life. But let me ask you this. How many wealthy, well-connected people do you know who are profoundly unhappy? How many have everything society tells them they should want and yet feel empty inside? The truth is, these external factors are like building a house on sand. They might provide temporary stability, but when the storms of life come, and they will come, that foundation will crumble. What we're talking about today is building your life on bedrock, on something so fundamentally true and powerful that it can withstand anything life throws at you. This principle, is about aligning yourself with the deepest truths of existence. It's about understanding your place in the cosmos, not in some abstract philosophical sense, but in a way that informs every decision you make, every interaction you have, every moment of your life. It's about responsibility, not the kind of responsibility that's imposed on you from outside, but a profound, chosen responsibility that comes from understanding who you are and what you're capable of. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your life and the world around you, and then shouldering that power with all the seriousness it deserves. You see, we've been sold a lie. We've been told that happiness comes from comfort, from avoiding pain and difficulty. But that's not how human beings are wired. We're not designed for comfort. We're designed for challenge, for growth, for transcendence. And when we shy away from that, when we try to insulate ourselves from the difficulties of life, we wither. We become weak, resentful, and prone to ideological possession. What I'm talking about is embracing the hero's journey, not in some Hollywood sense, but in the deep, archetypal sense that Joseph Campbell wrote about. It's about recognizing that life is going to throw challenges at you, that suffering is an inevitable part of existence, and then choosing to face that suffering head-on, to use it as a crucible for your own growth and transformation. This isn't easy. It's not supposed to be easy. If it were easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. But it's necessary. It's necessary because the alternative is a slow descent into bitterness, resentment, and nihilism. And let me tell you, I've seen where that path leads, and it's not somewhere you want to go. So what does this look like in practice? It starts with telling the truth, not just to others, but to yourself. It means looking at your life with clear eyes, acknowledging your weaknesses, your fears, your shortcomings. It means taking a hard look at the stories you tell yourself about why you can't succeed, why you're not good enough, why the world is against you. And then it means choosing to act despite those fears and doubts. It means setting goals that scare you a little, goals that push you beyond your current capabilities. It means being willing to fail, to look foolish, to face rejection. Because here's the thing, every time you do that, every time you face a fear and come out the other side, you grow. You become stronger, more resilient, more capable. But it's not just about individual achievement. That's another lie we've been sold, that life is all about individual success. No, what we're talking about is something much deeper, much more profound. It's about recognizing your place in the grand tapestry of existence, about understanding that your actions ripple out and affect the world in ways you can't even imagine. This is where responsibility comes in. When you truly understand this interconnectedness, you realize that every action you take, every word you speak, every thought you think has consequences. And not just for you, but for everyone around you, for society as a whole, for the future of humanity. That might sound grandiose, but it's the truth. We're all connected, all part of this vast, complex system called life. And when you start to live in alignment with this truth, something remarkable happens. You stop feeling lost. You stop feeling anxious about trivial things, because you're no longer just living for yourself. You're living as part of something greater. This is what gives life meaning. Not accumulating wealth, not gaining social status, but participating fully in the unfolding drama of existence. It's about recognizing that you have a unique role to play, a unique set of gifts to offer the world, and then having the courage to offer those gifts fully, without reservation. Now, this might all sound abstract, but it has very concrete implications for how you live your life. It means being impeccable with your word, because you understand the power of language to shape reality. It means treating every interaction, no matter how small, as significant, because you never know how your actions might affect others. It means constantly pushing yourself to learn, to grow, to become more than you are, because you understand that the world needs the best version of you. It means facing your shadows, those dark parts of yourself that you'd rather not acknowledge. Because here's the thing, those shadows don't go away when you ignore them. They fester, they grow, and they come out in ways you can't control. But when you face them, when you integrate them, they become a source of strength. As Carl Jung said, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This is the path of individuation, of becoming who you truly are. Not who society tells you to be, not who your parents or peers expect you to be, but who you are at your core. It's about peeling away the layers of conditioning, of false beliefs, of limiting stories, and discovering the bedrock of your being. And let me tell you, when you start living from this place, when you start aligning your actions with your deepest truths, life becomes not easier, but more vivid, more meaningful. The challenges don't disappear, but you face them with a strength and clarity that you never knew you had. This is what it means to live well, not to live comfortably, not to live without pain or difficulty, but to live fully, to engage with life on the deepest level possible. It's about saying yes to existence, with all its terror and beauty, all its suffering and joy. So I challenge you, look at your life. Are you living in alignment with these principles? Are you taking full responsibility for your existence? Are you facing your fears, integrating your shadows, offering your gifts to the world? Or are you hiding, playing small, avoiding the call to greatness that exists within you? Because make no mistake, that call is there. It's in all of us. And answering it is the key to living well, to finding that deep, unshakable sense of meaning and purpose that we all crave. It's not about money. It's not about your network. It's about becoming who you truly are and having the courage to live that truth fully, no matter what. Now let's dig deeper into this concept, because it's not enough to merely understand it intellectually. We need to grapple with it, to feel it in our bones, to let it permeate every aspect of our being. This is where the real work begins, and I won't lie to you, it's going to be uncomfortable. But discomfort is the price of growth, and if you're not willing to pay that price, you might as well stop listening now. You see, we've been conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. Our society is built on the premise that comfort is the ultimate goal. But comfort is a trap. It's a siren song that lures us into complacency, into mediocrity. And mediocrity is a slow death of the soul. What we're talking about here is embracing the discomfort, leaning into it, using it as a crucible for transformation. This is where the alchemical process of self-realization takes place. It's in the fire of challenge, of suffering, of voluntary confrontation with the unknown that we forge ourselves into something greater. Think about it. Every significant growth in your life has come from facing something difficult. Whether it was learning a new skill, overcoming a fear, or recovering from a loss, these challenges shaped you. They made you who you are. And yet, we spend so much of our lives trying to avoid the very things that can transform us. This avoidance is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown. But here's the thing about fear. It's a compass. It points directly to the things we need to confront. The things we're most afraid of are often the very things we need to face to become who we're meant to be. So instead of running from your fears, I want you to start running towards them. I want you to seek out challenges, not recklessly but purposefully, with the understanding that each challenge is an opportunity for growth, for self-discovery, for becoming more than you are. This is what it means to live on the edge of your competence. It means constantly pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, always reaching for that next level of understanding, of skill, of being. It's not about reckless risk-taking. It's about calculated challenges that stretch you without breaking you. Now, this isn't just about personal achievement. That's another trap we fall into, thinking that life is all about individual success. No, what we're talking about here is something much more profound. It's about recognizing your place in the grand tapestry of existence and taking responsibility for that place. You see, we're not isolated individuals. We're nodes in a vast network of being. Every action we take, Every word we speak ripples out and affects the world in ways we can't even imagine. When you truly understand this, it changes everything. It makes you realize that your life isn't just about you. It's about your family, your community, your society, humanity as a whole, and even the future of life itself. This realization brings with it an immense responsibility, because if everything you do matters, if every choice you make affects the world, then you have a moral obligation to make those choices as wisely as possible. You have a responsibility to become the best version of yourself that you can be, because the world needs that. The world needs you at your best. This is where meaning comes from. Not from pursuing pleasure or avoiding pain, but from taking on responsibilities and fulfilling them to the best of your ability. It comes from recognizing the potential within you and doing everything in your power to actualize that potential. But here's the catch. This potential isn't just about your talents or your strengths. It's also about your shadows, your weaknesses, your flaws. Because we all have a shadow side, a part of ourselves that we'd rather not acknowledge. And the more we try to ignore or repress this shadow, the more power it has over us. The key is integration. It's about facing your shadow, understanding it, and incorporating it into your conscious personality. This is what Carl Jung called the process of individuation, becoming a whole, integrated person. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming complete. This process of integration is where true strength comes from, because when you've faced your own darkness, when you've grappled with your own demons and come out the other side, there's very little in the external world that can shake you. You develop a kind of inner stability, a core of strength that allows you to face life's challenges with equanimity. And let me tell you, this strength is desperately needed in today's world. We're facing unprecedented challenges as a species: environmental crises, technological disruptions, social upheavals. The old ways of thinking, the old paradigms are breaking down, and in this chaos, we need individuals who can stand firm, who can think clearly, who can act with wisdom and compassion. This is where your journey of self-realization becomes more than just personal growth. It becomes a service to humanity, because as you become more integrated, more authentic, more aligned with your deepest truths, you naturally become a force for good in the world. You become a beacon of sanity in a world that often seems insane. But this journey isn't easy. It requires constant vigilance, constant effort. It means being willing to look at yourself honestly, to confront your failures and shortcomings without flinching. It means being willing to change, to let go of old beliefs and behaviors that no longer serve you. And perhaps most challenging of all, it means being willing to stand alone if necessary. Because when you start living authentically, when you start speaking your truth and living your values, you'll often find yourself at odds with the prevailing culture. You'll face resistance, criticism, maybe even ostracism. But here's the thing, that resistance is a sign that you're on the right track. As Nietzsche said, the individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. This struggle is part of the heroic journey. It's part of what makes life meaningful. So I challenge you. Are you willing to take on this struggle? Are you willing to face your fears, confront your shadows, and take full responsibility for your life? Are you willing to pursue truth even when it's uncomfortable, even when it puts you at odds with others? Because if you're willing to walk this path of self-realization, of individuation, of becoming who you truly are, then you'll discover something remarkable. you'll find that life becomes vibrant, meaningful, filled with purpose. The challenges don't disappear. In fact, they often become greater, but you face them with a strength and clarity that you never knew you had. This is what it means to live well. Not to live without problems, not to live in constant comfort and ease, but to live fully, authentically, engaged with life at the deepest level. It's about saying yes to existence, with all its pain and joy, all its challenges and triumphs. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you live this way, when you take on the full responsibility of your existence and strive to become the best version of yourself, you naturally make the world a better place. Your growth, your integration, your authenticity ripples out and affects everyone around you. You become a force for good, almost without trying. This is the path to a life well lived. It's not about money, it's not about status, it's not even about happiness in the conventional sense. It's about meaning, purpose, and the profound satisfaction that comes from living in alignment with your deepest truths. So, I ask you, are you ready to walk this path? Are you ready to take on the challenge of becoming who you truly are? Because if you are, if you're willing to do the work, to face the discomfort, to embrace the responsibility, then you'll discover a way of living that's beyond anything you've imagined. A life of depth, of meaning, of profound fulfillment.